Hey Adventures, so today is going to be my quarter 2 TBR. So basically what I've been doing this year, instead of a monthly TBR where I have 5 books or whatever per month that I want to read, I have about 18 books for 3 months. And of those 18 books, I just pick and choose there's a list. These are a bunch of books that I want to read in this time. Let's grab the next one that I can, or whatever happens. And then those are usually just the physical books that I already own that I want to read. This does exclude audiobooks, which is usually about 5/8 of the books that I read during the month. So it's not quite exactly accurate, and most of the time I won't make it through all 18 of these books, but it's just a pool of books to pull from rather than trying to stick to a more strict TBR. So real quickly, I'm going to wrap up my last semester, which I was calling, or my last quarter, which I was calling the spring quarter. So this next one would be, of course, the summer quarter, even though it doesn't quite work out that way according to month-wise. But anyway, so my January through March, which is quarter 1, or my spring quarter as I was calling it, I had 18 books on it, and I read 6 of them. One of them I finished in April, but I'll get to that as I mention it. So in January through March, in quarter 1, I read The Lord of the Rings, The Three Musketeers, 20 Years After, In the Labyrinth of Drakes, Death on the Nile, and A Merchant in Orient. So those were 6 books. Why do I 4, 5, 6? Yeah, so for some reason I have an extra finger up. Anyways, so those were the 6 books that I read of the 18 that I had on the list. I did start the Dragon Reborn, but none of the other ones I ended up getting to. That's largely because a lot of the physical books that I read were actually not books that were on this list. They were books that I got and decided to read in March because I wanted to make March a read smaller authors month, basically. So I read a bunch of, like, the booktubers that I know. I read a bunch of their books. So that's kind of why I didn't make it through as many in March as I would have liked to, but I really don't care. It's more of just a pool of books to pull from if I need another book and I don't know what I'm going to read next. Again, audiobooks don't really count for this. But so those are the 6 books that I read off of my January through March, off of my quarter 1 TBR, and here's my, I guess I should probably call them an MBR, or a might be read, I guess. Here's my quarter 2 MBR, and this is April through June. Some of these books are holdovers from the last month, and that's fine. I really don't mind. They're all books that I still want to get to. So starting right off at the top, this one is actually an audiobook, and it doesn't really need to be on here, and if I would have taken it off, I could have added another one on, but I didn't. And either way, it's the next book that I'm going to, or the next audiobook that I'm going to be reading. I'll probably be starting it sometime today. But that is House of Suns by Alastair Reynolds. I don't know anything about this book other than it's sci-fi. I was talking to Himvar, or Liam from Liam's Lyceum, and maybe Jonathan from Words in Time. Might have been talking to the 2 of them. I don't remember for sure. But anyways, I was talking to Liam, and he mentioned that he was going to be reading that, or I said something about I need to read more sci-fi, and he says, you want to join me for House of the Sun in April? So I was like, okay, that's fine if I have time, which I end up having time. It's the next audiobook that I'm reading, so that's what I'll be, that's the first one on the list. The second one is the Dragon Reborn, which I actually have already started, as you can see in my RIP shelf. That's what I'm calling, Reads in Progress shelf. So that's right here behind me. So that one's already ongoing. So again, I could have taken it off and added another spot, but I didn't, so that's fine. The next one will be The Shadow Rising, which is book 4 of Wheel of Time. This may or may not end up happening. I may not get to this. I would like to. I'll probably will. I'm trying to get through as much of Wheel of Time as I can this year, but I've also got other priorities as well. Basically, I want to get through books 3, 4, and 5 this year if possible. Should be plenty doable. The next one, book 4 on this list is, where is it at? Should be here somewhere right there. The next book, or book 4 on this list, is Sitka by Lamour. This is one that I've been wanting to read for a long time. It's also a holdover from last month that I just never ended up getting to. Hopefully I'll get to it very soon. So yeah, that's that. Book 5 is, again, The Once and Future King. Again, another holdover from last month, or from the last quarter, and it's actually a holdover from, like, when did I start it? August of last year, something like that, and I got a handful of chapters in. What is that? 5 chapters in, 4 chapters in, and I never continued. because I had to focus on other Arthurian lit for my Arthurian lit class. So Once and Future King is one that I would really like to get back to as soon as I possibly can, and it's definitely a priority for me. Book 6, where is that one at? Book 6, yes, Gawain by J.P. Harker. This is, I believe, a young adult something along the lines of a young adult retelling of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. Not specifically, but that's kind of what it started out as, or something like that, or the idea behind it, and grows from there, or something like that. I really don't know anything about it, other than that it sounds really interesting, and I actually really like the cover for it. So that is book 6 on this list. Again, another holdover from last month, and one that I really, really want to get to as soon as I possibly can, because it sounds so fun and so good. Book 7 is Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. This is another one that I got for Christmas, and it's one that I've wanted to read for a very, very long time, basically since I started reading Brandon Sanderson and knew that this came out. This came out significantly later than when I started reading Sanderson. But anyways, I've been wanting to read this for a long time now, and I'm finally trying to get to it as soon as I can. I don't know when that soon as I can will be, but that's book 7. Book 8 is Black by Ted Dekker. Again, another holdover from last month, as was Skyward, or from last quarter, as was Skyward. But this one I've heard a whole lot about, and everything that I've heard about Dekker has been really good, and so I really want to read his books. I have the entire Quartet, Complete Circle series. Anyways, I want to read it, and I want to get to it really bad, but I haven't gotten to it yet. I'm going to be trying for that sooner rather than later. Okay, where are we at? Book 9 is Rebel's Creed by Daniel Green. This one is the sequel to Breach of Peace. Yeah, sequel to Breach of Peace. I've had it for a while, basically since it came out, and I haven't gotten to it yet. I want to read it, want to see what it's about, or if it's as bad as a lot of people are saying in terms of grammatical errors, essentially. There seems to be a lot of editing issues that needed fixed that didn't. So we will see what I think of this one. I do want to read it and find out what it's about. We'll see. Another holdover from last. Book 10 is Thrawn by Timothy Zahn. Again, another holdover from last quarter. Star Wars book about Grand Admiral Thrawn. I don't believe he's Grand Admiral at this point, but I think it's something like the lead up to his time as Grand Admiral Thrawn. I really don't know. I don't know enough about this book, but I know I like the character of Thrawn. He's a very interesting character, very smart, analytical character, and I really like that. So that's who that's one of the ones that I'm hoping for. I really need to get into reading more Star Wars books, and I haven't yet, but this one I really want to. Book 11, where is it at? Angels and Demons by Dan Brown. I mentioned this in a video a couple weeks ago, and just about everybody who watched the video was like, or who commented on the video rather, was like, Angels and Demons is great, you should read it. So I do want to read Angels and Demons. This is the first book in the Robert Langdon series, and I will be reading it as soon, or sometime. I don't know when sometime is, but I'd like to get to it in this summer quarter, this April through June quarter. What's next on the list? Dawn of Wonder by Jonathan Rinshaw. I will be rereading this book for the first time, and it will be in June. So it's on this list. I believe the reread is set for June. I'm doing it with my friend Bryn. So yeah, I will sure be rereading this book in June. That's something that I know absolute certainty. I mean, unless something comes up. But unless for some reason I can't read it, I will be rereading this book in June. That one is there for sure. If you want to join us, please do so. This book is phenomenal. One of the best books I've read in a very long time, and I was not expecting it to be as good as it was. It blew me away completely and utterly, and I've talked about it quite a bit, and I'm sure I will talk about it more as we get closer to rereading it and as I reread it. So, Dawn of Wonder. Join us for that. What's next? Number 13 is Red Rising by Pierce Brown. I've heard a lot of things about the Red Rising series. I haven't got to it. I have the first 3 books in the series. I don't know exactly. So I have I have the first 3 books in the Red Rising Trilogy, which of course trilogy is 3. So I have the first 3 books I have the 3 books in the Red Rising Trilogy. Man, I can't talk. And then I don't have the other books in the series that come after it. But anyways, I have the first 3 books, and I do want to read it. I've heard some great things about it. I've heard some people who didn't like it so much. But anyway, either way, I do want to read this book, and I figured this quarter 2 would be a good time to try and throw it in, because I do want to get into more sci-fi, and I just haven't yet. What is next? Number 14 is Unfinished Tales of Numenor and Middle-earth by J.R. Tolkien. This is Unfinished Tales. This is part of the world of The Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, Silmarillion, etc. And I've kind of declared this month for me as a year of I've kind of declared this year for me as a year of Tolkien, basically in preparation for the TV show. I want to get as caught up and reread as much of the lore of the Second Age as I can to get a better understanding and grasp of the Second Age for the TV show, so that I can break it down, so that I can understand what's going on a little bit better, because I don't remember it. I've read a lot of it in the past, but I don't remember it. So I do want to reread this one, and we'll definitely be doing it sometime, probably. It's going to be one of those ones that I just set by my bed and read whenever the other books that I'm reading don't sound interesting for the day or whatever. I'll probably try and, I don't know how it's split up, but I'll probably try and read like a chunk of it every day or something like that, a chapter essentially a day. We will see what happens, but I do want to reread this one, and will be for sure. What's next? Number 15 is The Vicomte de Bragelonne by Alexander Dumas. This is the third book in some breakdowns of the series of the D'Artagnan romances. I read The Three Musketeers in January, February, and then in March, April, I read, 20 Years After, which is the direct sequel to Three Musketeers. And so the next part in the D'Artagnan romances is Vicomte de Bragelonne, and so I will be reading that as well. Book 16 is Pearls of Lutra by Brian Jakes. Really, I just want to get back into reading some Redwall, and I haven't read Redwall in a while. This is actually one of the few books that I don't think I've ever read in the Redwall series, so it's one that I need to. I have the physical copy, and I really want to read it, so that's something that is definitely going to be on my list to do as soon as I can. Probably this quarter I will try and get to Pearls of Lutra or another Redwall book. It doesn't necessarily have to be that. What else have I got? Number 17 is The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. This is one of the few science fiction books that I've actually read, and it is one of my favorite books I've ever read. I read this back in high school sometime, probably my sophomore year, something like that, and I really loved it, and I really want to reread it, and I don't think we own a copy of it, so I saw this one at the thrift store. Nice little mass market paperback, super cheap, perfect for just reading whenever I need to, and I'm ready to reread it, so I threw it on this list. And then number 18 is Within the Sanctuary of Wings. This is book 5 of the Lady Trent memoir series by Marie Brennan. I've loved the first 4 books. I'm hoping that I love the 5th book as well. I really don't know what else to say about it, but I do want to finish this series up in a timely manner, which means in these next 3 months, hopefully. So that is my quarterly TBR for the summer months, or for the summer quarter, I guess, quarter 2. It's not really summer, but kind of, for my brain, that's how it works. Quarter 2 TBR, or MBR, however you want to say it, whatever one you want to choose. Those are the books that I'm hoping to read in this next quarter. I know we're already several days into the month of April, but that's fine. I've still got several months to go. That is it. Thank you guys for watching an Erudite Adventure. We post videos every Monday and Thursday. We have our social medias linked in the description down below. We will see you guys again soon. Stay well.